still kind of weird referring to Marina as only Marina, because I just want the diamonds back, man. I just want the diamonds. Bring the diamonds back. Marina, come on. Which I think has probably been a common thing with Marina over the past few years. People wanting the old Marina back, unless you're like incredibly dedicated to her craft, her music, her art that you just absolutely loved, love and fear. But most fans of hers that I've spoken to weren't really feeling that album. That album to me was kind of confusing. It just didn't have any of the things that made her so special to begin with. And I know immediately there are definitely going to be people in the comments, because there were in my last Marina review, saying that, look, you don't need an artist to stay the same the whole way through their career. They can change, they can do different things. The thing is that I don't think anyone's saying that. Like, no one is saying you can't change as an artist. There's loads of artists who have put out some of the best music ever who changed with nearly every album that they put out, or if not every album, a vast majority of their albums, they were always shifting their sound. A big inspiration of Marina is Kate Bush, and Kate Bush did exactly that while also keeping her identity, keeping what made her music so special. And that's the thing that people are talking about when they refer to Marina. No one's saying that she had to stay the same. They just wanted the music to stay consistently good while also her as an artist exploring different sounds and ideas. That's what people are saying. And I implore any artist changing things up. But for me, the soul of Marina seems to be sucked away to somewhere else. Maybe the Upside Down, I don't know. Because once again, this new album, while you can see it's heading in the right direction, you can see it's heading there. You can see she's trying to pull inspirations from the quirks that made her music so good to begin with, but something's just still missing. You can see with the opening track, and particularly Purge the Poison, I feel the two tracks on the album that do feel like vintage Marina in a lot of ways, do have the quirks and the qualities, particularly in the percussion, I think, that make her music have character. And of course, you know, the vocals working alongside that as well doesn't quite live up to what I want from her usually as a vocalist, but the performances aren't bad. They're just pretty tame, I think, with particularly Ancient Dreams in a Modern Land. I don't think the vocals quite match up with the instrumental here. I don't know what it is. She just kind of sounds like she's not quite part of the same song. There's something just off with this. I'm not really the biggest fan of the way the drums drive the song the way that they do as well. They're like just seems to take over the entire melody to the point where I wouldn't really say there's a recognizable melody coming through, honestly. And then you've got the lyrics, you know, you're not here to conform, you're not here to just live by what everybody else expects, live by other people's standards. Wouldn't mind if this topic was explored in a way that I haven't heard before, but I really don't think this is a very interesting way to approach this kind of topic, in my opinion anyway. I just don't think these lyrics really offer much insight at all. Man's World is easily the worst example of that though, like the way the lyrics just don't go anywhere and just seem to just be very much simplistic, men own things and I don't want to be a part of that. Just very, very surface level, just scratching the surface barely and not really offering anything interesting. Like, you could get a different artist writing a song like this and you'd get some kind of insight that would be at least worthwhile. Like Fiona Apple, for example, could probably touch a song like this, make it completely different and just offer a perspective that you'd never think of or you'd never hear before. The preachiness doesn't really add anything either. It really just takes away, if anything. And the lack of distinct sound on this one really doesn't help as well. It's really just, once again, the issue that Love and Fear had. You're just not getting who this is. Like, picking this singer from a lineup would be difficult. Like, honestly, I just don't think her vocal performance here is distinct in the slightest. Purge the Poison, which I have already mentioned, like I say, the closest thing to her older quirks that I like the most with her as an artist. Not to say that her other albums past the first album are bad, that's not what I'm saying. I think Fruit is actually a really good album, but I think here, again, you're getting some of those quirky moments with the vocals. I commend her for trying to, you know, shift the sound enough to make it sound like, you know, 2021 Marina as opposed to just being 2010 Marina, but you can see that she's still pulling ideas from that era in this song. There's something not quite right with this track though. Something feels missing. It feels a bit forced actually, especially with the lyrics that just touch on everything between bloody Britney Spears and Harvey Weinstein and capitalism and racism. Like, she just says so many things and doesn't go into anything that's like in depth at all. Like, you're just saying things. It reminds me actually of that 1975 song Love It If We Made It, which I think everyone seemed to love apart from me. It got like Pitchfork's best song of the year, which I just didn't quite get. But the thing that was with that song, again, it just seems to kind of like mention things, this. And yeah, sure, of course we need to purge the poison as she words it. But I don't know. I don't know. Just maybe try not touching on everything. You're not a spokesperson for everything that's going on in the world. And if you were, you might have, you know, give us more interesting lyrics. Highly Emotional People is a track that I think people will probably resonate with, because I think the lyrics here are certainly relatable and actually do offer an interesting insight into what she's talking about. Of course, people just kind of like holding their emotions in, not really being willing to express them. Obviously not great in the long run for many people, although you know, I do think people go a bit overboard with it. I don't think you have to be, you know, expressing your emotions about everything in every given situation, which is what seemingly seems to be the new way forward for everyone on social media. I don't think that's a good way, but probably not going to go down well with people that think it should be the right way. Even without that though, it's pretty bland musically. Like, the vocal performance here is just so flat and the song is just incredibly one note. I just can't sit through this. It's just so dull. Flowers is another example of this as well. Just no connection to the music here whatsoever. Just a really like tame, bland, piano-led track that just needs a much stronger identity for me to even remotely connect to it in any kind of way. The track New America goes back to the idea of what Purge the Poison was attempting, I think, in the sense that, you know, she's trying to touch on societal issues, particularly America, the United States of America, to be precise. Of course, who else would she be talking about on this song? We have heard her do a similar kind of thing before with one of her biggest songs ever to date, Hollywood, which of course she was touching on American culture and things like that. This time though, you can see the shift in the tone and the shift in the perspective, I think, here, because 11 years on, now that social media has become such a huge thing, you can see everything that's going on at any given moment much more than you did in 2010. And you can clearly see that her perspective is much darker in the way that she's calling out America. You've got Blood on Your Hands, Time to Pay Your Dues, obvious references to America's past in this track. Lyrically, definitely a more, I guess, gnarlier and straight to the point and kind of like straight for the jugular track. But again, not that big on how it sounds. I think it's okay. Probably one of the highlights, I think, here. But a highlight on this album is still not really that great to me. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's missing. I can't tell if it's production, if it's her vocals, but just something seems to be missing from her music these days. The final track kind of references this in weird sort of meta ways, in the way that she's, you know, saying goodbye to her old self. I do kind of wonder if she's sort of saying, this is it now, look, I'm writing off those first 3 albums, I guess you could say, you know, the Diamonds era, that's it, this is a goodbye. But you'd think that she would have done this song on Love and Fear though, because that was the obvious stepping stone point to a new era. That was the obvious change in pace. Unless she wasn't decided by then, and now she's like, oh, actually no, definitely goodbye. I don't really know. I kind of like the double entendre of the track though, as in the way that, you know, Regina Spektor's The Visit does as well, which closes out her Remember Us to Life album, and here on this track it's kind of like goodbye to you, goodbye to my old self. It's kind of a little clever way to end out an album. I do like that kind of thing, but overall everything prior to that just wasn't doing enough for me to really sink myself into. I'm just not really sure if I have huge amounts of faith in myself, really, in that, you know, will I like any more of her music ever again? Because I don't know if I will. Like, I think these past 2 albums have shifted so much in a direction that just doesn't interest me. And it's really hard to see if there's ever going to be an album that's going to be made for me personally ever again, because if, you know, we do see more albums like this from her in the future, I just think I'm going to continuously be saying, look, I'm not really into it, which therefore means it's a 5 out of 10 from me. Unfortunately, I'm just not sure if the direction she's heading in is going to be for me. And even with like the deeper lyrical themes that she's trying to touch on with many of these tracks, I'm still just left feeling dry. Like, I just don't know if she's writing these tracks in ways that, you know, strike enough thought-provoking thoughts or images in my head to really keep interested in. But I don't know, I implore her for trying it, but I think if she's going to do more songs like this in the future, they just need to have a bit more bite to them and need more character. Let me know your thoughts though if you like this album. If you do, let me know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. It would be great to see what you guys think. If you like it, if you don't, if you love it, would love to hear your thoughts regardless. Just be constructive though. Don't be like, stop reviewing music, because that's not a conversation. I want a conversation. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you agree with. Tell me what you disagree with, and make it fair. Let's talk. Thank you for watching. Do have a good day. Subscribe if you have not already, and goodbye.